But I'll go ahead and kick us, huh? Yeah, go ahead and, oh goodness. I don't know. It is online, yeah. Huh? Okay, welcome everyone. We will kick it off. I just want to say thank you for choosing to join a discussion-based forum. It really is important for researchers in the space to get a chance to meet one another and introduce yourselves to each other, making those connections to foster future research. So today we're going to talk about enhancing coherence and effectiveness of future transparency capacity building. And my name is Molly White, and I am the Senior Director of the Education Program at the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute. So before we get started, I want to thank our co-organizers, the Institute of Global Environmental Strategies, and also the Council on Energy, Environment, and Water. I also want to acknowledge our donor support for a white paper we produced earlier this year on the topic, specifically the Independent Global Stocktake, the Climate Works Foundation, and the Center for Global Sustainability at the University of Maryland. So for today's agenda, this is very much not a panel discussion. We wanted to create this agenda for you in the room, but we will start with 10 minutes of an introductory presentation on measuring capacity progress in climate transparency under the global stocktake. My co-collaborator here, Chisa Umemiya from IGES, will deliver a brief introduction to what we mean by measuring capacity progress in climate transparency under the global stocktake. And then we will engage in a facilitated discussion for 30 minutes at the tables that you're sitting at right now. And then finally, we'll close with just a prompt for you to engage with other people in the room that are not seated at your table, with a brief opportunity to introduce yourself, your work, maybe some things that you're looking for in terms of measuring capacity building in your own work. So with that, I would like to introduce Chisa Umemiya from IGES to come and give us our brief level setting.
Next. Thank you, Molly, for your kind introduction. And okay, so this is a picture imagining one of the international conferences like this COP or the last COP. And we often hear from the negotiator or any other expert saying things are moving so slow or cannot move faster because of lack of capacity or because of support for building capacity. But often we don't talk much about what is it exactly we want to change. And global stocktake of the Paris Agreement is a mechanism that is trying to do that. Stocktaking the progress in capacity and identifying gaps, and next step is to identify solutions to address those gaps. But the question here is when it comes to measuring capacity, our understanding now there is not very clear methodology on how to do that. And this event is about that measurement of capacity progress. And our focus, or where Molly and I come from, is about the capacity for climate transparency under the Paris Agreement. And why transparency? And I think many of you who are in this room are already familiar with this, but transparency is foundation for informed decision-making, represented as NDC, and also building trust and confidence among parties so that the next round of NDC can be further enhanced. And importantly, it is the basis of inputs to the global stocktake to assess the collective progress of all parties every 5 years, and the first one is taking place right now. And we also understand the challenges or difficulty of how to measure capacity built. And this is some of the references, let's say, we take from the various literature, including the synthesis report of the global stocktake. For instance, one of the challenges for measuring the capacity progress is that we do not have consensus on what exactly transparency capacity, in this case, constitute as an element. And we also don't know exactly the data availability for those elements. So even we know what indicator might be, it is a challenge to measure those indicators. And also in the Paris Agreement, there is a mentioning about there is no framework how to measure capacity in the Paris Agreement, unlike the convention. But we do also recognize the opportunities are increasing. For instance, from the global stocktake synthesis support, we can take some of the lessons we are taking now, and we are improving our understanding of how to measure what capacity is and how to measure it. For instance, to be effective, capacity needs to consider the underlying social and economic system, and also country ownership is fundamental. And also from next year, we will have, hopefully, from many parties to submit BTL, then this will definitely help us to improve our data availability for measuring many things, including capacity. And here is one of our proposals we have published as a white paper, as Molly mentioned, of the framework for measuring transparency capacity. I'm not going in detail of these tables at all, but what I want to highlight is that what we did is we tried to disaggregate the elements of capacity, what we think is important, and try to link them in a different layers. For instance, primarily dimension is we selected output quality, which means measuring the quality of the report that has been submitted. For the Paris Agreement, it will be biannual transparency report. And then we think about the two dimensions, which we call secondary dimensions here, that contributes to the creating the primary dimension. Here we have institution and organization as one of the secondary dimension, and knowledge and skill as the other secondary dimension. And then we will have indicators. So this is one of the proposals we had made, but this is not the only measurement framework, of course. And we want to enhance our discussion today on this framework. Next slide, please. Oh, I can't do that. And one of the important points from our research is that even though we can have the basic starting point of thinking about the measurement framework, it is always a challenge to agree on those indicators. And also, even though you can agree on the indicators, data availability becomes a challenge. So our proposal here is to think about really as transparency itself of the Paris Agreement improves over time. And we think so that's measurement of capacity for transparency. Meaning that for the next round of global stocktake, we can prioritize measuring the indicators for capacity progress that have already clear to many of us and that have the data available for a large number of countries, for instance. Then after that, towards thinking of the global stocktake 3, which will be 10 years from now, we can focus on second priority are indicators that have a clear, but as of now, data availability is still limited. And we can continue our efforts of improving understanding on the indicators and also increasing the data availability. And hopefully, third priority in the near future, we are going to have a data set for the indicators that we would like to measure. So these are the gradual steps that we think for how to do transparency, capacity building measurement, and rather than just not doing it at all, just because we cannot agree on the indicators or we just think the data are not available. So these are our proposal. And next slide, please. No. You want to come? So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chisa. And hopefully, I know that was so brief, but I hope it does kind of start to bring up some ideas from you, and you're starting to think maybe a little bit about what kind of indicators we might need. And so now we're going to break into small group discussions. And I want to say the facilitators at the tables that you have right now aren't experts. They're just facilitators. They're there to take notes, and they're there to help draw out all of your ideas about what kind of capacity building indicators we should prioritize for the future, and then also how we might increase the availability of capacity building indicators for all of us to use in the room, not only for the global stocktake, but also as practitioners of capacity building. So We have 30 minutes, and I would suggest that you spend roughly 15 minutes on each of these questions. And again, for those that are tuning in online, the notes that are going to be collected at the tables will be shared on the Capacity Building Hub website after the event. So with that, we'll break into small group discussions. Thanks.
Test, test.